I'm very intrigued by your principle, which is come in late, leave early.
Yes, well, I can't take credit for that entirely. That's been around for a long time in screenwriting. I first heard it from Paul Schrader, who wrote Taxi Driver. His analogy was think of each scene as a party, a cocktail party. And you, as a guest, a reader, or a viewer, you want to get there as late as possible so that things are already up and running, and you want to leave before things die down. And that's how a scene should work. You should get in as late as you can, reasonably get in. You should get out before it peters out. And if you start looking for it in movies, you can see that all over the place where they'll cut from one thing right into the action of the next thing. The example I use in the book, and it's an old example, but it's a classic example for me, is the movie The Producers with Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder. And the editor of that movie, Ralph Rosenblum, wrote a great book about all the different movies that he edited. And he explained how there's a sequence in The Producers where Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder are going to meet the playwright who owns the worst play in the world, Springtime for Hitler. And they meet him on his roof. And then he says, let's go inside and talk about it. And they sit at his kitchen table. The kitchen table scene, as it is in the movie now, was twice as long when they shot it. There was a lot of stuff once they got into the kitchen and they're getting settled, and the Franz character is talking, and then he bursts into a song and makes them sing. And in the editing, Ralph Rosenblum said to Mel Brooks, that's where the scene starts, right there. And Mel Brooks is like, well, that's like 3 minutes into this. You're losing all this stuff. He said, yes, you're losing all this stuff, but you don't need all that stuff. Everything you need to know, the actors are telling you right now. You can see how uncomfortable they are. You can see how crazy he is. We can lose pages of dialogue and get to it faster. And so Mel Brooks did that, was not happy about it. And then he did the same thing at the end of the scene. There's a point where he says, sign the contract here. And that's the end of the scene. And there's a tendency to want to be a completist and go, well, I'm going to show you everything that happened from the time the lights came on until the time the lights went off. When in fact, you just need to show that part where the character's going through something and then quickly move on to the next thing.